Good evening and welcome, excuse me, welcome to Miles Culture Plate. I am your host, Kevin Miles, and it is October 4th, 2022. And today we got the big news that Elon Musk will be moving forward with his purchase of Twitter, and that the deal might be done by the end of the week. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about with it. I'm going to be doing a couple of reviews today. One of which we're going to be doing Batman Earth 1 Volume 2. So, I don't... And I'm going to be eating dinner, which is hold on. Okay, sorry about that. All right, we've got a spicy sausage calzone from Aldi. Pre-prepared frozen meal. So I'm going to be kind of half reviewing that and talking a little bit about Twitter. Once again, just like what happened the first time, it looked close to a deal with Elon Musk. It appears that, once again, a lot of bot accounts are disappearing. People who previously had suspensions or bans are showing up as active members or active account holders. And we'll see. We'll see what the short term holds for Twitter. If Elon Musk's purchase will give us a more free platform to follow. So I'm probably going to spend a good amount of time, mostly just kind of browsing Twitter with you folks. Because, my... my prediction... Okay, so... If you were here Saturday, I was supposed to be live streaming. And I actually did an entire show. Well, I lie. I did a short show, a 40-minute show on Saturday. And so if you showed up Saturday and saw a link and clicked that link and did not see me, that is because I'm still learning how YouTube works and thought I was live, thought I had clicked go live, did not click go live, and therefore was not live. So I did a whole show in which does not exist. So my apologies. I'm working out the details on how to get that going. For the most part, so on that show, I made a prediction that, lots of things would be happening Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and that we would have plenty more to cover. And yeah, the only news is really the Elon Musk Twitter stuff. Yes, I am drinking water out of a salsa jar. An extra large salsa jar. I do that sometimes. So, one of the things we can cover. Check this out. So this is supposed to be a screenshot of the new Super Mario movie, or the poster maybe. That seems pretty interesting. Like I said, I don't have anything I really want to cover, so I'm just kind of you know, try to hunt for things to cover here. Here's an interesting. So, is anyone else out there eating? Let me know if you're eating. I'm not showing anybody eating. Okay. I had to warn y'all, if you're eating, you might stop for just a minute. I don't want anybody to choke. Lizzo stuns in neon yellow nude illusion bodysuit. Fun times. So, yeah. You know, after the whole controversy over her using James Madison's crystal flute while twerking, this is what we have here. Wearing next to nothing. Hey, you know, takes all kinds. I'm not gonna shame. Takes all kinds. All right, let's. All right, let me go ahead and mute this for a second. I'll take another bite of this calzone. All right, so here's something. Here's a meme. Hang on, I gotta get my window right. All right, here we go. So, if a man shares criticism, he's a misogynist. If a man expresses frustration, he's an incel. If a man expresses anger, he's fragile. If he expresses sadness, he's weak. If he shares any emotion other than happiness, that's emotional labor for the other party. If a man shows no emotion at all, it's toxic masculinity. There's no winning as a man. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a fair assessment? You know, with everything I mentioned the other day about Jordan Peterson and incels, it's kind of anyway. Do. I don't know. So, I will go on a little bit of a rant. So, I caught a video today by Perch. Shout out to Comics by Perch, the YouTube channel Perch. Comics by Perch. In which he was ranting about, and he frequently does this. He'll go on a rant about people who are declaring the comic industry dead, or declaring one of the big two dead, or saying that, you know, DC's about to collapse or Marvel's about to collapse. And so he kind of went on a rant about DC Comics. And he's not wrong. You know, his assessment was DC essentially could turn things around. They're not turning things around. And therefore, you know, rumors of their demise are exaggerated. However, you know, you should be even more angry that it's not in free fall, because they have the capability to save their company. They just refuse to. Until things get bad and they've pissed off fans all around. So, one moment and then I'll give you my assessment. Okay, so one of the things Perch does in this video, he compares the DCU, and that's DCYOU, era to the post-Rebirth era, or the current era of DC Comics. And he says, you know, look how bad things were after New 52, and they were losing fans left and right. And he said, you know, that was a time of utter shit. I gotta somewhat disagree. It wasn't utter shit. And one of the things he says about Rebirth and about the change in personnel at DC Comics was that they went out and they hired Tom King. And that everyone was hyped, everyone was excited for what Tom King would bring to DC Comics. I don't think that's entirely true. Because Tom King came to DC Comics as part of the DCU initiative. And he was writing one of the only great titles of that era, Grayson. There was reason to be hyped. That was a good book. For most of us. You know, most of the people I talk to says that Grayson was a great series. And I know a lot of people who've went out and bought the Grayson Super Spy Omnibus. I know people who collected the trades. I read it digitally myself. And so I don't think Tom King was a flop. And I go on, I've had rants on this channel about what I didn't like about Tom King's Batman run. And I've criticized him for Batman. I've criticized him for Heroes in Crisis. But you got to remember, before Batman, before Heroes in Crisis, he had a decent run on Mr. Miracle. And he had a pretty good run on Grayson Super Spy. So this idea that the New 52 era was shit, and then it was the hype of Tom King, and then the letdown of Tom King, that was a fan mistake, right? It was the fans being hyped for something that ultimately turned out to be a flop. I don't think Tom King was a flop. Tom King's Batman was a flop. Heroes in Crisis was a flop. But you got to understand, that's 3-4 years into Tom King being at DC Comics, and that all started with DCU, which was, look, a lot of things went wrong with DCU. I'm not criticizing Perch one bit for making this distinction between DCU and Rebirth. But part of the problem with Rebirth is, and really part of the problem with this idea that comics can just come back at any time, I think it's going to take a really special narrative. I think it's really going to take something. One of the things in this video that Perch stresses is that comic fans are almost too forgiving. Like, we'll keep reading even though you're treating us like shit. But I gotta wonder, there's a limit to everything. There's a bridge too far. You've pulled the rug out too many times. Lucy's taken the football from Charlie Brown, and eventually you just got to stop falling for it. And I kind of wonder if DC Comics fans are done falling for it. New 52 was supposed to be this new, vibrant thing where everyone was going to go back to the beginning of their story and we were going to start over and do everything from scratch. But they did it half-assed. And then DCU happened. And then that was like, okay, well, now we can bring back some of the characters that we disappeared and make some diversity stories, and we can kind of do our own thing. No. Sorry for the barking dog in the background and the people talking earlier in the background, but anyway, so fast forward to Rebirth, and then Rebirth was this okay, we kind of went the wrong direction with New 52, and now we're going to start bringing back some of the pre-crisis and post-crisis continuity, and it's going to be the characters you know and love, and we're going to restore them to their original glory and tell exciting new stories with them. One moment. Okay, closing my door did not help at all with the dog barking noise. So I kind of look at you had New 52, and really you had, before that you had 1 year later, and you had this final crisis, and you had all these heroes being replaced at that point in time too. And so you had 52, and 1 year later, you had New 52, and then, you know, what, 3 years later, and then 3 years later, you got DCU, and then you got Rebirth. Okay, DCU really didn't make any grand proclamations on what the future of the DC universe was going to be like. The other three kind of did. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm feeling like Charlie Brown with the football pulled out from under me. You pulled the football out from under me with 52, and 1 year later, excuse me, you did it again, or with Final Crisis. Let's just say Final Crisis. You did it with Final Crisis. You did it again with New 52. You promised me one thing, and you half-assed it. There was some good and bad, but then you did it again. You promised me Rebirth, and while Rebirth was more good than bad overall, at least the titles I was reading, which is, half a DC Comics line, which, let me just say, doing like 26 monthly books, perfect. I don't know why they felt the need to expand again and cancel some titles just to make more team books, and they half-assed it. I have to say, overall, it was good. It was well received, and there were a lot of good stories in Rebirth, but they half-assed it. We were supposed to get the characters we knew and loved. And I'm not going to get on a big rant about stories currently being written for diversity reasons. But, I mean, that's kind of where we are. Is, we were given a new status quo, and then, within 3 years it was ripped from us, and now here we are 3 years after that, and the whole damn line is just unreadable. I no longer collect new DC comics. That's kind of why on this channel you see me reviewing old shit, because that's all I buy anymore is old shit. Every once in a blue moon, I'll get something like Batman Adventures Season 2. Oh, got a hair stuck to it. I'll do that once in a blue moon. But I'm not buying the regular monthly titles. I just won't do it. There's nothing that's part of the current continuity that's worth buying. Alright, so hang on. Time to take another bite of dinner. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think comic books are... if you're even a comic book fan, do you think DC Comics can come back from the hole they've dug themselves into with future state, 5G, whatever you want to call it? Because let's face it, they went through. They said we're not going to do 5G. Dan DiDio's fired. We're not going to do 5G. We're not going to do a whole new generation of superheroes. And then they do the future state stuff that introduces a whole new generation of superheroes. Oh, but that's just a potential alternate reality future. These characters don't really exist in the current timeline. Now here we are 2 years later. All of these characters actually exist. And now we're having Dark Crisis bring them all to the forefront. Now, granted, I'm not reading any of this garbage. I want to put that out there right now. I'm not reading any of this garbage, so maybe it is all different. I don't care. I don't care if we've got two separate timelines from whatever's the current continuity is versus whatever future state was supposed to be. I don't care. Don't want to know. Don't need to know. Have no interest in any of this garbage. And then on top of future state, you've got the Jonathan Kent bisexuality stuff, the Tim Drake bisexuality stuff, the Bruce Wayne may have explored bisexuality in his early days. That's not why I read comics, folks. And I'm sure that's not why you read comics. It is what it is. You know, there was a time when Stan Lee said, you know, the point of Spider-Man is Spider-Man could be any young man. You know. But, you know, the idea that we have to have representation in the hero's journey is just crazy. But I'm not here to rant about that. I'm just saying the stories are not the stories of these superheroes. They're the stories that they're self-inserts of these writers who want to tell diverse stories about diverse characters and not superheroes. These aren't superhero stories. So, anyway, Earth 1, Volume 2, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. You know, it's interesting to see. I was a big fan of... Where the hell did it go? I was a big fan of White Knight when it first came out. I heard a lot of people gave it good reviews. And I thought, okay, you know, another alternate reality take on Batman. And I gotta say, folks, it's when you get to talking about continuity, things get real confusing. Because, you know, right now, even DC Comics official position on continuity is that everything ever written possibly happened in some version of the multiverse. They call it the Omniverse. So, all these alternate reality stories, Gotham by Gaslight, they're not the current Bruce Wayne story, but they're a Bruce Wayne story. And Bruce Wayne may or may not have remembered something that happened in one of these books. But this, in particular, is supposed to be a different Earth in the multiverse. And one problem I have with alternate takes on Batman is that everyone wants to treat it like it's the same Batman. Or everyone wants to act like it should be the same Batman. So either the writer keeps too much of the mythos, or the writer throws away too much of the mythos. And so this is my problem with reading a story that's written to be an alternate take on a classic character's baseline story, is they always take just enough liberty with the story to make it different, but then they keep so much of it that it's like, okay, I'm not reading something vibrant and new. And so Earth 1 Volume 2, I have to say, was written really well. It's great. And I could see where really the last two Batman movies took a lot of liberties. You know, the Matt Reeves, the Batman, and and The Dark Knight, not The Dark Knight Rises, but The Dark Knight, took a lot of liberties. Wait, did this even come out before The Dark Knight? I don't think it did. Maybe this took inspiration from that. 2015. Okay. So yeah. This probably took some inspiration from The Dark Knight, and then vice versa, gave inspiration back for the Batman. And I'm not impressed. You have the Riddler. Look, it's a well-written story. I'm not gonna lie. Jeff Johns knows how to write, but once again, we have an alternate version of the Riddler right here. See the question mark above the eye, wearing a trench coat. So this was part of the inspiration for the movie, as you could tell. You have the Riddler who's setting bombs off in the city. And you've come to find out that, so in Volume 1, Oswald Cobblepot, a.k.a. the Penguin, was killed. And you find out that his criminal/government empire has been taken over by 5 people. And then you find out that the 5 people, one by one, are winding up as victims in Riddler's bomb plots. And he's leaving riddles for Batman, and Batman quickly learns that even if he solves the riddle... Now, here's the thing that bugs me. Jeff Johns, he wrote it so that even if Batman solves the riddle, he still blows up the bomb. You know, Riddler hasn't really done that in other versions of this universe, you know, other Earths versions. He also, one other liberty that Jeff Johns takes with this alternate Batman, he gives Harvey Dent a sister. Spoiler alert. Toward the end, Harvey Dent gets a Molotov cocktail thrown in his face, and you think, oh, well, this is how he becomes Two-Face. No, he dies from his injuries. And his sister, in an act of sympathy, puts her face against his melted face. And then at the end of the book, Spoiler alert. She has a split personality, which she's both herself and her brother. And we don't get to see her face, but I'm assuming she's Two-Face. You know, it was a well-written book. I can't say it was boring, but it's not for me. You know, alternate takes on Batman. And like I said, I gave White Knight a lot of praise, but I kind of looked at White Knight as more of a... I looked at White Knight as more of a love story to Batman. I don't know why this doesn't feel as much like a love story to Batman. You know... It's like White Knight tried to pile all the fan favorite stuff into the story while still telling an alternate universe story. This didn't seem as much of fan favorite. It's like they took some of the fan favorite stuff and went a different direction with it. And so it doesn't really feel like Batman at all. It feels like Bruce Wayne in a pinball machine. It feels like, once again, like Batman is an object that's being guided through life. You know, he doesn't feel like he's his own man in either of these books so far. I heard Volume 3 is the worst of the trilogy. I'm eventually going to read it. I'm eventually going to review it. But for now, I got to give Batman Earth 1 Volume 2 a score. And I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. If you're new to Batman and you want to read the Earth 1 series out of context, I would give it an 8 out of 10. But because it is what it is and it contradicts so much of Prime Earth or whatever Earth normal continuity is, because it really takes those left turns, it's hard for me to love, which makes me feel like a hypocrite, because one of my biggest complaints about Batman fans is they're not able to enjoy these alternate universe stories for what they are. For example, I absolutely love All-Star Batman and Robin by Frank Miller. I absolutely love it. Everyone hates it because Batman's angry, cocky, chauvinistic, cussing. But I'm like, okay, but that's not our Batman, right? That's not our universe's Batman. That's just a fantasy. Which, you know, I'm trying to think about this the same way. But like I said, it's almost like Jeff Johns kept too much, but then changed too much. It felt like a bad Hollywood adaptation. Have y'all seen the new Quantum Leap? Anyway, I'm not going to give a review on it. I'm just saying it kind of felt like that. Like it's the same thing, but it's different. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put these back on the shelf real quick. Earth 1 Volume 2. Next to Earth 1 Volume 1. And Batman White Knight next to Curse of the White Knight. Let me know if y'all would be interested in me showing off some of my collection. Either action figures or comic books. Let me know what you'd like me to see and talk more about. I could also show off some of my posters and stuff too. This one's my favorite. Go ahead and leave that there. So, if you've read Batman Earth 1, Volume 1 and 2, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. Let me know if you thought it was too close to the story, took too much liberties with the story. Let me know what you thought about it. Anyway, so that's all I've got for the show tonight. You know, I kind of was hoping to talk a little more about Elon Musk, but quite frankly, that, you know, it is what it is. They're gonna, you know, he bought it. It's gonna get finalized, allegedly. And we'll see. I mean, people are losing their fucking mind. You know, maybe this Saturday, if I could find, maybe do a compilation of some of the crazy takes to it. Anywho. That's our show for today. Sorry I didn't have much more of a show for today. Sorry I didn't have any show really for Saturday like I thought I did. You know what? I didn't even realize it until Sunday afternoon. I had an upcoming stream ticker on my channel for close to 24 hours until I realized, oh, okay, so I gotta hit the start streaming button on both windows. Anyway, again, one of the issues is I didn't know how to use the schedule stream feature. And so I tried it out last Wednesday. It worked. I didn't try it on Friday, but I tried it again on Saturday, and I messed that up. So my apologies to everyone if you came by looking for a show. I'd like to say I had a good rant, but I really didn't. It was kind of like today's show. It was everywhere. I was kind of distracted. But let me know if there's a topic you'd like me to cover. Let me know down in the comments below. If you have any criticism for me, you want to call me a dipshit, do whatever. Do it down in the comments below. Come back Saturday. I promise it'll be a better show. Saturday afternoon, around, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, depending on, Eastern time, Central time. It's usually around that time of day. I try to keep my schedule a little flexible, but just know it's gonna be Tuesday and it's gonna be Saturday as long as I remember to push the right button here and actually start streaming. So, I'll catch you then. Come back for the live chat. Like I said, leave me a comment below if there's something you'd like me to talk about. Click that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video at all. Go back, check out some of my old videos, give them a thumbs up. If you have a video you like, share it off platform. Show it to one of your friends, share it somewhere else. It really helps with the algorithm. And if you want to be updated when I'm streaming next, go ahead and click that notification bell. YouTube app usually will send out a little notification if you have that app installed on one of your smart devices. And then you go ahead and click subscribe. I'll show up in your subscription feed. So those are the big 5 things, really 6 things you could do to help this channel grow. I appreciate it. Love y'all. Have a good evening.